As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Christo
and Coach Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. Folks, I bought a brand new camera, and I'm thinking I'm going to see some better views here on this thing, but I still got this halo over my head. So now next week, I'm going to have to go get me some lights so I can look better.
Well, actually, the camera is very clear.
Oh, you can see very clearly?
Yeah, no, the camera, the wording is very clear, actually clearer than mine.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
So the camera is working. That part is working.
That part is working, but you just need the lighting to hit you just at the right space.
I need some better lighting, man. We have to hire a crew to come in and light me up.
Yeah, because you need the lighting. Well, when you're hanging out with Paul, you can get some input from Paul on what's the best lighting for you. But that's what it is. No, the camera looks good. Everything is clear.
It's 4K, man. 4K.
Yeah, that looks nice.
I decided to step it up, man. I said, listen, man, if we're gonna be broadcasting, we gotta be making money on our broadcast or stream. We gotta give the people what they want, man. We gotta give them some good quality stuff to look at.
Yeah. That's what has to happen. So there you have it. So now you can go and get you some lighting and set up your studio.
In here too.
Yep, get your studio going on, and you will be on point.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, I have a little studio there in my office, but I got to soundproof it. You know, so. So I get it
downstairs.
Yeah. So I got to do that.
Yeah, because that would be dark enough. You got the way the lighting is there, and then you would use all your artificial light, and you won't have any light coming in from the outside.
Instead of using the virtual background, I'll just use a real background. So that would even make it a little better, you know. So we won't have that halo stuff. My co-host, how are you doing? How was your week?
My week was very fast. Very fast. I can't even tell you why it was so fast. I think it was fast. I can't. I think one, the program that I'm working on, the subcommittee, we had to review all of our proposals. And we're at the final deliberation. And so we had to make some decisions because we have $9 million to give out. But however, we have 122 proposals.
Yeah.
And at 400,000 a piece, or somewhere in that, we kind of exceed the 9 million. So not everybody's going to get in on this. And so now we have definite yeses, some really great projects. And then we have the proposals were reviewed by 2 or 3, maybe 4 different eyes. And that's the interesting thing, is depending on what type of work you do. And how you read a proposal and your perception of that proposal and what you're trying to get out of it, right? I mean, what you feel that can have. So my proposals, because from an entrepreneurial standpoint, so let me ask you this question. So this is what I'm going to. So I was reviewing a proposal in the video and film production, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at the people that are going to be executing, that's going to be the instructors. So I saw heavy hitters, man, individuals that have been in the industry for 10, 15 years. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't work with Aria Grande. They have worked with Alicia Keys. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was one in film and one in sound. And so when I looked at the proposal, uh, the plan was great. The concepts were great. They were going to provide job training and exposure for young people to get into those industries, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so everything, the business was viable. It was a viable plan. They even had the what do you call it? They even had the phases, and this is like early phase type of business.
Yeah.
So my scores were high, but everybody else's scores was low. So we had to discuss it, right? And
All
so
right.
they were saying, well, why did you uh why did you choose to have high why were your scores higher? And I told him, I said, well, because I look at it with entrepreneurial eyes.
Exactly.
If the plan works, if the plan looks like it's going to that it can really be executed, and
Mm-hmm.
and that the people have the skill sets to make it happen, and the
Right.
background and the history and
Yeah.
the network, then
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't it work, right?
Right.
Theirs was, well, there were no concrete jobs.
What?
And I said, well, in the film industry, he says, well, you know, like a job where you go to every day and, for
That's
two,
not how that industry works,
that
man.
industry.
You
Yeah,
don't
I
go to
said that
work every
industry.
day like that.
Yeah, and they were like, that's like per project. Yeah, that is. That's exactly how that industry has always worked. I said, that's not a deterrent though, because if you have people that have the skill sets to teach you their craft, then now you have a skill set. And if you have an introduction into a network, which is
Yeah.
what I'm getting from these people, like if you've been in the field industry for 15, 20 years, you
Yeah.
know a whole lot of people that you can recommend your
Exactly.
student to get to that, right?
Yeah.
To that space. And the person that you're referring to, they know you, so they're gonna go, okay, you're recommending him, he in. It's a
Mm-hmm.
no deal. It's
Yeah.
about network.
Right.
And so they were struggling with that one. They wanted to see they wanted to see like okay, you're gonna reach out to Universal and they got 12 jobs for these people. No, that's not
That
how
is
that works.
crazy. That is
So
crazy. See,
the
they don't understand the concept of it, but they're making decisions on it. Those are the kinds of groups and evaluators I don't like dealing with because they don't understand the thing. How are you going to make decision about something you don't understand?
Yeah, and so I just basically said, I said, well, I'll go back and review, but I'm going to tell you, if based upon all of their resumes, and they have the resources and the networks that they can introduce these young people to, that will get them in the industry. And then one of them, this one just really blew me away, and I went, hmm. So one of them is a for profit. It's a social enterprise. So they have a nonprofit and they have a for profit, right? So the for
Hmm.
profit was going to actually train the nonprofit was going to actually train them and they had relationships with EDD and other entities that they actually could get work in and other studios and things like that. This was more of a creative media marketing type of
Hmm.
company. And then they had a for profit that they actually provided uh, services for
Right.
the entities. And they was like, well, those weren't concrete jobs. They were just going to give them work. Yeah, but they're developing their skill. They're going to be paid, and it's a for profit. So they could become part of that staff.
Yeah,
That's the
man.
purpose of having a for profit and a nonprofit. The for profit feeds into the nonprofit, right?
They
So
needed, like you say, these people are not entrepreneurs, so they don't understand the entrepreneur life. So for them to be making decisions like that, man, they need people like you and all the entrepreneurs in there to make those decisions.
Yeah, exactly. So I just said, okay, well, I'll go back and take a look. I said, but I did give them, and once I did give them my rationale, I said because I look at things through this through my entrepreneurial eyes, and my entrepreneurial eye says, as any business, as in the first, if you have a marketing strategy, you have
Right.
you have a secure network that the people trust
Mm-hmm.
and that what skill sets you have and your opinion, then
Yeah.
yeah, I would hire people that come to me and say, hey, I think this person would be good. I do it all the time with the interns
All
for
right.
biz camp. So anyway, that was my week, and so we're still at deliberation mode. We come back next week to do the final, and so it's
So
interesting.
who's gonna give the okay? The
Us, we're the team. We it all
Okay.
comes down to the 10 of us that are on the team. We just have to all get
Okay.
to the same place. So it's not
Oh,
like
okay.
somebody else is going to make the decision.
Right, right.
We're actually making the decision.
Because I saw one of those grant things out there. I said, maybe I should apply for one of these. It's with LISC, LLISC.
Oh yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think I might just, but I'm just concerned, man, about the people we're evaluating who don't know shit.
Well, the list one is this one is different. To be
Yeah,
quite honest with you,
yeah,
it's different because it's a city grant,
yeah,
and then but we did establish a there was a steering team, and then there's the committee, the subcommittees, and we're trying to make sure everything is. I mean, it's about equity,
yeah.
and now if there were something, one of them for clean injury in industries, if
Hmm.
energy, if there were like two or three people in the same area, yeah, we're going to give it to the one that's the most qualified, because
Right,
now there's no need of having two doing the exact same thing for the
right.
same population. So
Hmm.
we had to take a lot of things into consideration. But I actually kind of like the evaluation piece.
That
That's
is it's a good process because several things. You learn about the company, you learn about the industry they're in, you learn about what their approaches are to some of this. And some
right,
have good approaches, some don't. Some have no approach at all. you know. So you learn those types of dynamics. And I think it's fun because I used to do the same thing at LACCD, where I evaluate proposals, and these are for big dogs, like Clark Construction, Turner Construction, all those big guys.
right.
So yeah,
So that was kind of my week. And now we're at the end of the week, and the kids are, my kids did well in their competition over the weekend, and
yeah.
they're coming up on their next competition, and
Hmm.
then Biz Camp starts officially in June.
Oh wow. So
How
you're
about your
right.
week?
My week. Oh man, what did I do? I was working on writing my books, both books.
Okay.
I'm doing one for pricing, pricing your projects, how to price properly. I call it building uh, your pricing IQ.
Okay.
So you gotta have an idea of what they're looking for, so you can price appropriately. And then the other one is winning government contracts. The key to winning.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
I like
so
that concept. Yeah, that's a
oh
good
yeah,
book.
oh yeah. So I have strategies that I use, man. It's different than everybody else, but it's unique, and it's easy to adopt and apply. Even kids can memorize my strategy, which I like. So I'm gonna test uh, my thesis. I'm gonna test it on a class that's coming up on the 29th. So I'm gonna test it on some small businesses and see if they can retain my strategic approach. You know,
Okay. All righty. Yeah, I
because I
have actually.
because I
That's
come up
cool.
I come up with an acronym that they can use to remember what to do when they're doing a proposal. Because when you get a proposal, you don't remember. You forget the rules, right? So I have a little strategy that they can use to remember the rules, the acronym. Can't go wrong.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when do you expect the book to be completed?
I'm thinking maximum in 60 days, within the end of 60 days, maximum. And the reason I'm saying that is because I need to reach some heavy hitters with regard to writing a foreword for me.
Oh,
So
okay.
I can reach out to someone like Mark Cuban to be that person, then that will give it a lot of credibility. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do.
You could also reach out to Victor Parker.
Yeah, that's
As he's now the
is he
he's the
still with the SBA?
yeah, he's a senior director for the SBA.
Oh yeah, that's a
He
good
went to
point.
Washington. Hopefully he's still there, but he went to Washington.
Yeah,
He's up there in that space.
yeah,
And
that's a good
Victor would
point.
be part of that.
And
And
he understand procurement too. So
that's part of in that part of their wheelhouse.
oh yeah, that's because the SBA has all these different government contracting vehicles that they do. And as a matter of fact, some of the proposals that I'm referencing in my book has to do with SBA contracts, because we talk about the federal government has over $600 billion in procurement money available for small businesses to tap into. But many small businesses, they don't know about it, they're not familiar, and many of them are afraid to submit a proposal because they're thinking, "Hey, man, I'm small. Those bigger boys and girls, they know more about this, so they will win." No, you cannot do that. You got to go in ready and be competent about what you're doing, and all you got to do is just wow, just like you are reviewing proposals right now. You
Hmm.
gotta woo that person who is reviewing the proposal and
Yeah,
make them
yeah.
say, "Yeah, this person, they know what they're talking about." You know?
It's like a business plan. You got to convince the
Yeah,
people that even though the idea for as a business as a
yeah,
starter business that the business is going to work. You
yeah,
don't based upon all of your research and studies and
yeah.
and
It
and
seemed like a lucrative
comparison.
idea.
Yeah, right, exactly, and that you actually have what you have. So yeah, I know. Yeah, I think if you can get to Victor Parker's, that would be good. I'd even say some people that have really, because I don't know if Mark Cuban does. They don't do procurement like we do procurement.
No,
They
no, they don't. But see, the thing is, he can speak to contracting, on that level. So just certain things coming from him would
yeah.
help to validate the process.
Yeah, that yeah, but yeah, Victor Parker, since he was, I don't know if he still is, but he was up until the November 5th, he had been moved to the SBA
Washington.
administration in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
That's where he actually
Yeah, I gotta
left.
reach out. I gotta reach out to him.
Yeah,
I still have his cell phone number, so I'll reach
yeah,
out
yeah.
and
So he
see.
was the associate administrator.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's still there based upon what's being
the
executed.
new happening since
The new
January
happenings,
20th.
yes, is January 20th. It's been a
the,
little something else.
the new neighbors, the new neighbors
Not
are
quite so neighborly.
they're not so neighborly. So
Yeah, neighborly is not one of the. I don't even think you would use that as a description for them. These are like hostile neighbors. And I just read, don't know how true this is, but I have to do more research. But um, white South Africans granted refugee status and are heading to the U.S.
What? No, man. I don't need that. We got our own people here to take care of.
So other people being kicked out, and other people are being invited to come. Refugees,
Man.
all in the same status, but you know what that is. So yeah,
Yeah.
so we got a new pope. He's an American,
Yeah.
uh, out from
Then he's
born
he's
in New
African
Orleans.
American.
Yeah, his mom was Haiti, from Haiti. She's Haitian, or she
Mm, 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 mm.
she's Afro-Cuban, and then uh, his father, well, his great-great-grandfather was the plantation owner. So I would say that he's probably 4/5 of black there, but according to
Mhm.
them, one drop makes you that. So there we go. We have a new first time American, African American or black, not black. Yeah, he's from
Yeah,
Africa. He's an African American Pope.
interesting.
Yeah, I think that's
Uh,
pretty interesting right there. Period.
I think that position is somewhat like the president of the United States, where it's so highly stressful, so many things coming at you at once that it makes you get old fast. Because I remember Pope Francis, when he went in, he was a young looking man, pretty young. And man, like the last few days, he looked very, very old, very old.
Right, because he had been going, the Catholic Church has been in some, they've had some issues, but they
Yeah,
are also a very powerful entity. So
yes, yes.
there's
So
just
this,
so much going on in the world right now, man.
so
You can't
so
even
this
keep up with it all.
So this new pope, man, more power to him. Congratulations, and I hope he's able to, deal with the pressure because it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot, man, because there's a lot of stuff. But I do. Someone said the other day, they said, "Wow, we got an American Pope because God knows America needs some prayer. They need massive prayer, and it needs to come from the Vatican because we got all kinds of craziness going on." I just before we came on the air, they arrested a mayor
What?
because in New Jersey, because she was protesting against the kidnapping, as this one guy says, of
Of a
immigrants and
citizen?
U.S. and of citizens, and so she was blocking it. So
That is
they
crazy.
we are living in some crazy times.
Now it was first judges, now mayors.
Yeah,
What is wrong with these people, man?
because they don't
What?
want any laws. They want the laws to be for them. They want to get rid of the what is it, the civil rights. They want to get rid of due process. They want to get rid of what is it?
I,
Guys,
I just don't understand how certain people are just sitting back and let all of this stuff happen. They can open their mouth and speak, and I'm talking with many of those high-ranking politicians and judges. They need to say something, man. They,
yeah. Well, the people are speaking out. So yeah, I don't know. They're going the legal way, which I guess is if you want somebody else to honor the law and the Constitution, I assume that means you have to follow that Constitution as well.
yeah.
And so I think there's so many there are so many lawsuits going on simultaneously,
Wow.
at all at the same time, in order to counteract all of the craziness that's going on. I would say at
Man.
some point it's got to peter out. It just can't maintain this. The human body cannot maintain this much
All,
chaos.
all, all of this craziness.
Yeah. And the person that's even conducting the chaos is not going to be able to maintain the veracity of which they are executing all of this chaos. So I have a feeling that it's gonna come something's gonna come to a head.
Yeah.
Uh and we have to know that he is not in charge. There's somebody else in charge,
Yeah.
so that's all I can say is that somebody else is in charge. And one of the things I thought was kind of interesting, because at first I thought I said, wow, I heard that the potential or the possibility would be a black pope, but
Right.
the three that were in line were from Africa,
Right.
browner skinned men. And so when I saw the picture, I went, Okay, they didn't make that happen, huh? And
Mm-hmm.
then about 2 minutes later, like, oh, yeah, we did. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did. Yeah, we did. So I took that as a sign myself. Maybe I'm just
Yeah.
struggling for a
Well,
sign, but I took that as a
I
sign that
agree with
God's still
you.
in charge.
I hear you, man. I hear you. And I'm hoping that it can come to fruition soon so everybody see it, man, because yeah, some crazy times out there.
They are. And with that, guys, we have a great conversation happening today. We are again on the topic of tariffs and how we as small businesses need to navigate through this process. But you also have to have you have to be know that reality. You have to have reality checks, and I think some people think this is just going to go away, and then
Yeah,
we're just going to miraculously be on the other side, and everything is going to return.
right.
Um, uh, Everything is going to return the way it should return, right? And
So, in other words, if they stay quiet, things will just go back to normal, huh? Is that what they're
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think so. You got to step out and do your thing and let your voice be heard, man. Otherwise, they're going to assume that, hey, we're doing the right thing. They're not saying anything, you know?
You know, I put up a couple posts. I do that uh, every day. I put up some posts, and the one thing
Yeah,
that I do know is this one I put up this morning. It says, I don't want to get to the end of my life and find that I just lived the length of it. I want to have lived the width of it as well."
yeah,
Meaning that you have to be involved
yes,
in things, not because it in the abstract way, it affects you just as much as it affects everyone else.
yeah.
Because we live in a very connected, interacted world, and so
Hmm.
if my neighbor is hurt or something drastic happens to my neighbor, you can guarantee that it's going to be a fallout for the other people in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah,
So you're it's not going to just you're not untouched. Let me just put it
right.
that way.
That's true.
And so as Les Brown says, if you don't stand for something, you're gonna fall for
They
anything.
go for anything, man. That was our slogan when I was upstate New York, and I worked for that radio station up there.
Uh-huh.
That was our slogan, man. If you don't stand for something, you'll go for anything.
You'll go for anything. So right
Yeah,
now, standing for up for the Constitution of America, which sets us apart from any other country in this world. Um, it is our duty to stand up for a country that provides us the freedom. For
hmm,
those that migrated here, it is your duty as well to stand up
right.
for a country that allowed you to come in and gave you sanctuary for you and your family when you
An
left,
opportunity.
and opportunities that you would not have had in other countries. And if anyone has traveled in this world, you do know we have some opportunities that other people didn't have,
Right.
don't have. So that's all I got to say on the subject.
So we'll
And
see. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see. We'll see what
all
happens.
righty. So let's talk about our topic. We want to kind of carry in from where we were last week and move into the new drama for this week.
The new drama, episode 15.
Right.
Oh
And
Lord.
it's only been 110 days.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yes. So here's the thing, guys. Last week we talked about the tariffs and the effects of what that looks like. Some updates. At one point in time, Gilbert and I had indicated that you could go to other countries that were that were not affected by tariffs, because at first we thought it was going to be pretty much between China and Mexico and Canada. Now it's the whole entire world.
Yeah, yeah. It is. You see, it's amazing how things happen in like no time, really quickly.
And
Really quickly.
right. So we talked about the truckers last week. So,
Yes.
if there's nothing coming into the ports, then that means that again, that domino effect, right? So if the truckers rely on cargo coming into the port, that is how they make their living. So if there's nothing coming into the port, then there's no need for them, right?
Right, right. So many of them are going to stay home. Many of them are going to try to do other things. So we'll see how it goes because, one of the reasons why we're sympathizing with the truckers because they're entrepreneurs just like us. So, you got to have that coalition, that coalition to support entrepreneurs no matter what their stripes are, no matter where they come from, what they do. We're entrepreneurs, so we got to support entrepreneurs. So that's my big thing to say. We're going to support these truckers. We know a lot of these truckers supported the person who is in charge right now. A lot of them did, but because they're entrepreneurs, we're operating on that side of the entrepreneurs. We're saying, hey, entrepreneurs, we know what you go through daily. You got to be nimble. You got to be phonetic in what you do. When you plan, you got to plan as if something fails and something go wrong, then you got to plan B, C, D, E, F, G. So we understand that, truckers. We're with you. But at the same time, look at alternatives. Look at different alternatives that you can do in order to sustain yourself as an entrepreneur. So what we're going to talk about today is going to lend itself to how the truckers and the ports, the shipping ports, are impacted by these tariffs and how certain alternative options that the parties can look at in order to not stay caught in this quagmire of crazy rules and arbitrary tariffs, because tariffs really don't help anyone when it's being implemented in this manner. You cannot implement tariff because you're upset with somebody. You can't implement tariff because you're settling a score. It's not how it works. As a matter of fact, based on what I understand about this constitution in this country, if you're contemplating tariffs, it has to go through Congress. Congress has to bless it first. No one individual can make that decision about imposing tariffs. It doesn't work that way. But we're seeing some things going on. We're seeing some new Project 2025 stuff going on here. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so here's the thing on that, right? So there is a misnomer that the country that he's putting the 100% tariff on are not the ones that's going to be hurt.
No,
they're really not, guys. So here's what happens. You, the consumer, you're going to be the one to feel the biggest pain, the largest pain, the most excruciating pain in some cases. So 75% of the tariff burden falls on the consumer.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And 22% on the businesses. So the initial decline is going to be slightly smaller, but as we move forward by 2030, that decline in capital and wages is going to be large. Because just like your bills at home, if you stop working, you get laid off from work or you're sick or something and you can no longer work, that doesn't mean your bills stop
They don't
and
go
pause.
away.
Right.
They
They
don't
don't
go away.
pause until you get well. They continue on. So what you need as a consumer to live, and we're not even talking an exaggerated life. We're talking a regular, everyday, got
Basic
food on the
life.
table, basic life, food on the table, electricity, heat, and gas to cook your food, clothing for you on your back, and a shelter over your head. That
Hmm.
and food to fill your belly. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
Basic needs.
Yeah.
And all of those basic needs are going to cost so much more with the outfit of this. And also, I was telling I was in Beverly Hills this morning, and
Hmm.
I'm driving around, and Beverly Hills is like deserted. It's like, and this is hot. This is May. This is about the time the tourists would be in Los Angeles, and they would
Hmm.
be all over Beverly Hills, right? Because the weather
Right.
is the springtime weather. It's not too hot. It's just right. I was driving and I'm looking. There is nobody walking into Neiman's Marcus because that's a high end clientele.
Right.
I looked up, and the Saks Fifth Avenue building that we've seen, that if you live in Los Angeles and you've been in Beverly Hills, is like an icon. It's
Yeah.
Saks Fifth Avenue is no longer there. It is moved to a
What?
smaller location. Yes.
When did it leave? When did it
I
get?
don't know, but I saw a sign that a new apartment building was going to be in it, replacing the
Oh
Saks Fifth
man.
Avenue building.
Mm-mm-mm.
Um, this is the outcome. This is the impact. Without tourists, just go back to you don't need to guess. Go back to 2020.
Yeah.
That's our example of what happens when there's no traffic, no money circulating, no people circulating. We
Hmm.
had 2020. Now, if it hadn't been for that CARES Act, man, we would have died on the vine in 2020.
Wow. That's true.
Right? Because there
That's
was
true.
nothing. The whole entire world was shut down. So this is kind of equivalent to a new tsunami, a
Right.
new pandemic, and this one
Hmm.
is an economic pandemic. So we want to talk about uh, what do you do? How do we focus? How do we focus in on the remainder of this year, especially those of us that sell product? How do we move forward from here? Because we got to have a plan. We just can't sit here and wait for this stuff to happen. I'm just not that kind of person.
So we're going to focus on how those tariffs are impacting small businesses and store shelves, and also how consumers are being affected by that. Taking care of their families and all of that stuff. But having an idea as to what to do, what plan B or C or D or E should be taken, that would definitely be a plus.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes, yes.
So that's what
Um,
we're going to look at today.
okay, all righty. So how we want to get started? We want to
So, did you have your list, or do you want me to share my list?
we can stay at your list, and then I have a list for those individuals that uh, are looking for wholesale suppliers for their small business.
Okay, that's
And so
good.
I can share that after we go through your list.
Yeah,
And of course, everyone, this is the time where research is going to be really a valuable skill set of yours. You got to really dig
definitely,
hard.
definitely. Gonna have to step in there and do your thing. Make it work. Make it work for you. So let me get in here and identify this. Let's see where it is. Okay, there it is. Okay, let me know if you can see co-host. Can you see it?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So since we're being impacted by these tariffs in so many different ways, some people are wondering, is this going to last forever? How long is it going to last? And we really don't know. You know, when we have temperamental leadership, where on any given day, the leader can snap or make a decision about, hey, we're going to have tariff today, or we won't have tariff today, or the next day we're going to pause tariffs. You can't make proper planning because you don't know what's going to happen. So, as a result of that, some of the things that we think could be impacted in the short run would be the stores who sell products, retail stores, those types of things. So we're thinking that some of these, because we have these tariffs, it's going to impact the retailers, so there won't be any product on their shelves, just like it was in the pandemic in 2020. There won't be anything, any water, toilet paper, those types of things. We've been down that road before, but some people tend to forget. So we're just trying to remind some of you guys that you don't want to forget. You want to kind of keep this in the back of your mind that this could happen. And then once you keep it in your mind, then you establish some plan B, C, D, E, F, G in order to sustain it and get by. So what we're looking at here is that, my co-host said this earlier, that there's a strong concern that potential supply chains, there will be issues with empty shelves, not only for Christmas of this year, but for Thanksgiving, for Halloween, and also the 4th of July. The 4th of July, we celebrate a lot. Firecracker here, firecracker there. We got some, maybe some beef to make ground beef on the grill, those types of things. That will be impacted because the U.S. does import beef from foreign countries like Australia and Ireland and places like those. So we want to start thinking about this, because if the products are not coming in on a regular like it would be, and there's barely beef around, guess what? The price of beef is going to go up, for your 4th of July barbecue. And not only the beef, but also those hot dogs. Those hot dogs that you eat, you like to celebrate. So that's the kind of thing. So we're anticipating some empty shelves in the upcoming months that could extend itself to Christmas and beyond. The small businesses, they'll be focused on proactive preparation and different solutions. And this will include the early planning that my co-host talked about. You got to do some planning, guys. So here are some detailed breakdown of some of small businesses, how they can prepare. So we talk about the early planning. We've got defined promotions. And some of those promotions could be that people start selling products in a certain kind of way that consumers understand that, hey, you can access these products here, there, and there, or this is another consideration that you can do. Developing sales and promotional strategies. You want to sell the items you have now, folks. So when the new products come in, whatever those items are going to cost because of the tariff, you don't commingle them, you don't mix them with the ones that you currently have that you paid a lower price for, that type of thing. Because somehow you may not make the money that it took to purchase the new batch with the tariff attached to it. So those are things you want to think about. Separate your inventory and make sure that you have a firm control over that. Co-host, you talked about, did you mention the website optimization?
Yeah, so no, I haven't, but yeah. So here's the thing. We have to be much more visible
Yeah.
in life right now. So we can't. Marketing is essential to you surviving and to your customers knowing that you're available. So you want to make sure that your website is set up so that it actually provides information that your customers can actually go to see where you are. So if you know that you're going to if you're going to your inventory is stuck in a container or not coming at all, you want to be very transparent with your customers, and you want to let them know. I know this week I had ordered a couple of things, and I've gotten notifications to say we are anticipating the shipment to come in, but does if it is not, we will refund your money because our the shipment right now is delayed and we're not quite sure, but we will keep you posted of all of the updates. We'll make sure we update you. So how do I know this? One, I'm getting notifications. Two, I can go to their website wherever I ordered from, and it will let me know that. So you want to make sure that your website is fully optimized. One, for any sales, any promotion materials, timing that it's going to take for them to get the package, and if there are some major delays, you want to let them know that as well. Don't just leave your customers hanging. So a lot of us do not update our websites. So this is going to be one of those things you're going to need to do, especially if that's the way you communicate with your customers. Now,
Yeah.
if you don't communicate with your customers that way, then maybe you might want to implement a newsletter that goes out to your customers. But I would suggest both because some of your customers may not be on your mailing list, so therefore they
Mhm.
won't get the information, but they will know how
Right.
to Google your website and go there. So you really want to invest in the time and the energy, and it's probably some costs that go along with this, but you want to make sure that your website is current and up to date with information that will provide your customers with anything they need. Because the one thing you don't want to do is lose customers. It's very
Yeah.
difficult to get customers back.
And another way that you can lose customers too is if when they order stuff, the shipment takes forever to come in because it's engulfed in these tariffs. So now customers are not happy. Hey, you told me I will see this in 10 days. It's now 20. What's going on? So then customers will say, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this. So now when they cancel the order, that which they've already paid for, then all of a sudden now as a small business, you're dealing with chargebacks. So because if they use a credit card to pay for these items and then they decide, I don't want it anymore, now there's going to be a chargeback to your merchant account. So that right there can be another issue that you'll have to deal with as small businesses that you probably wouldn't have to deal with if there's no tariffs and things are flowing all smoothly. So those are things you want to take a look at, guys. Now we got next item here is sales and collateral. Well, let's look at the sales and collateral, see how that works. You know, having a graphic or product photos and promotion campaign to engage your customer is going to be a good one. You know, you want to use your sales items to attract them and keep them coming through the door so you can offset some of these additional costs that you're going to have to incur. One of the things I talked about last week is that how the farmers are being impacted by this I want to call it a pandemic. I want to call it a pandemic, but it's not. It's a tariff, right? Tariff kind of make us feel like it's similar to a pandemic because
It's similar to a pandemic. You're on the right track. It's not called that right now, but yeah, it's very similar to the pandemic.
because it costs you a lot. It costs, they talk about taxes. That's like double taxation right there, because you
Hmm.
have to pay tax, sales tax on whatever you purchase, but then with the tariffs, now some of that is probably doubled or more. So I was talking about the farmers, how when they buy the stake markers that they put on the farmland to identify certain crops, and the stages of a crop, whether it's a month old or 6 month old or whatever, they use those stakes to identify. Now those steaks were being sold for 83 cents. Now they're being sold for $1.74. So that right there is going to drive up cost to those farmers tremendously. Because just imagine if it's $1.74 per steak from 83 cents, then now all of a sudden you got to purchase 10,000 of those babies. Now you're paying $17,000. So as opposed to just 9,000 8,000 that you would have to pay before. So these are things that you need to think about when you're doing your sales collateral, putting materials together in order to attract folks. You want to make sure what you have in inventory, you can move it right now. Or if you don't get to move all of that, then you want to put systems in place. And a lot of this is tied to what's going to come up in terms of training that staff will have to go through. So my co-host will tell you a little bit about some of those training, because my co-host, fortunately, she does training too. So she'll be helping out with some of those training to help folks back on the right track. So, co-host, you want to tell them about some of the
I certainly will. So here's the thing. Those of us that are in the training space of helping small businesses or run successful businesses, one of the first things, well, for me, customer service is better than the product to me.
Yes.
And that the customer service starts at the front door, because the person sitting at the front door, the person that answers the phone, is going to be the first impression your consumer or your customer has of your company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so even in good times, customer service has had some stigma, and mainly is because our teams, our people that's working for us, are not trained properly.
Right.
And so if customer service should be the most valuable proposition that you have in your business besides the product, is making sure that your staff is well trained and that they're very much aware of upcoming sales, that they're prepared to handle any of the potential customers' service issues or concerns or inquiries. Know that consumers are probably going to be a little bit on edge. And so being able to develop some thicker skin and have the right answers to respond, listen to the customer, and then come back with realistic solutions and transparency, will minimize a lot of the confusion and for people, your customers coming, trying to do business with you during this time frame. So training your employees, going through some scenarios so that they get it right. Not being rude, not being like, okay, I'm really tired. Now, of course, if that customer really gets out of line, that's a different ball game. You got to also train your employees to deal with situations like that. If they're becoming really hostile and you can see that it's going to spiral out of control, then making sure that you have proper, if you have to call the police or whatever, but still maintaining the control so it doesn't get out of hand to harm your business. But in good times and bad times, your training your customers and your employees is vital, and it shouldn't be just when they first started working for you. Training should go on all the time in a business, and making sure they understand that customer service and the way they treat your customers is paramount to the customer making sales. The one company that really takes their customer serious is Nordstrom. Nordstrom's, they understand the value of that customer. And
Yeah.
so their staff are well trained. I've been to some hotels. Their staff is well trained. The Marriott is one of those companies that their staff is well trained to interact with the public and how to deal with it, where the outcome is good. It is a good outcome for everybody. So just to know, this is the time to talk to your employees and make sure they understand, what is expected of them and how they need to engage with your customers during this very trying time. People are going to be spending more money than they want to spend, but they may have the need. They have to have what they need, and so we have to understand everybody. Everybody right now is in a boiler, in the boiling pot right now.
It's amazing you mentioned customer service calls because this past week, I have a situation where I was
Mhm.
solicited. I was solicited by Spectrum. So they're saying, well, you're a small business. We've got this great package for you. You will really like it. So they're telling me about internet service that will cost me, not as much as my existing service. So one of the things that they offer is, that you if you stay in a program, you get some long-term benefits. There are two names for the programs, right? One of them is I think it's a whitelist labeler,
Okay.
where they put together these lists, and you are one of the ones that are one of the customers that's deemed reasonably well. And then there's another one where they offer you stuff that with tricky terms. So whatever they offer is sometimes not what you're going to get. So
Mhm.
in these times when we have these crazy tariffs going on, we don't want to have our customers feel like they're being shafted, feel like your company doesn't care because the customer service skills that are uh, disseminated are not up to par. And I've seen some of that too at this cable place. So the, they offered me this deal, co-host. They offered me this deal where it's going to save me about $20 a month. So I said, okay, that sounds like a good deal. Then they threw
Mhm.
some other perks. I said, all right, I'll take that deal. So now any person, and you mentioned this earlier about planning,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So if I have an existing service, they're gonna replace that service with another service. Wouldn't it be that they would structure it in a time frame where, okay, we're going to terminate the existing one, but let's add the new one first. So when we terminate the existing one, it's smooth transition. There's no problem. Well, that's not what they did. They terminated my existing service on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, right? Terminated it. I'm in the middle of writing proposals and doing all kinds of things. I have no internet.
Oh, Lordy have
Have
mercy.
no internet goals. Can you imagine if I was teaching a class and that happens? That
It
would
wouldn't
not
be
be good.
pretty.
That would not be pretty. So they turned off my internet. As a matter of fact, I was in the middle of placing an order also to Amazon because I was
Oh.
buying some materials, right?
Mhm.
So that's what happened. And then when I call them and say, "Hey, what's going on here?" Well, there's going to be an outage in your area in 2 days anyway. So we figure if we turn it off now and you waited for 3, 4 days, I'm going, what? I'm going to wait for 3, 4 days without my internet? No, you guys got this wrong. So they started passing me around from one person to the next, one person. And then this is how I'm realizing that these guys don't have proper training because Any person who is worth the shirt on their back or the blouse on their back, they know that once you bring in someone who claim that they're, let's say, they're certified, they know what they're doing, right? But they're not delivering certification level services to you. So now you're going, wait a second. So they cut off my services. They didn't like the fact that I call and complain about it. So they ship me off to somebody else. Oh, that person will help you. So the person who comes in, they want to start from scratch, asking me my name, my account number, and all that stuff. Do you think I was fuming? Yes, I was fuming, because not only do they interrupt my service, they're asking me stupid questions that's already in the system. It's already been answered, so it should be right there in front of them. And every time they call me, can I have your PIN number? Can you verify your information? Oh, no, 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 we're not doing that. You get me a manager out here so we can talk about this. So, co-host, they have passed me around to about 8 different people.
Oh my
And
gosh.
each person didn't know what the one before them was talking about. Man, I was livid. Man, I was livid. So I said, listen, I don't want this new service anymore. Turn off this existing one and give me my old service. That's all I want. Give me my old service. So they passed me around to 2 more people. By the time I got to this guy in New York, because first of all, it started here in California, then it went to North Carolina, then they went back to California, then it went to New York. I'm going, no, 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 no,
Wow.
no, no, no,
That's not good.
You see what I mean? So when you talk about customer service and staff training, these things are what small businesses and large businesses need to do in order to retain your customer, because I was ready to go. I was saying, hey, I'm gone. Don't even follow up with me or anything like that. But that's kind of what happened here. So I had to go in, set up some dates, set up some times and all of that so they can come in and fix my system. So I want to go ahead.
And that right there, first of all, I don't even know what planet you would be on that you would make a decision to say, I'm going to cut off, we're going to have a blackout.
Yeah.
You don't know they're going to have a blackout.
Exactly.
And I'm going to turn off your service. First of all, if you're going to have a blackout, I think you need to inform your customers that there's going to be, if you know it 3 days in advance, then I need to know it at the same time. You need to know it. That's the first thing. Secondly, because today, everything works with our internet, right? Our phones work with our internet, our
heart
televisions,
oxygen.
a lot of stuff.
Some people are on that oxygen tank that you carry around with you. That's plugged in.
Exactly. So your Wi-Fi is not just watching television anymore. Now your Wi-Fi or your internet is it's your telephone, not just your cell phone, which has its own Wi-Fi network. It could be your phone. If you have voice over internet, VoIPs, then your phone is also based upon that. So when you do that, that puts the whole entire business out of business, right?
Exactly.
And so to make that decision and not say, hey, we need, there's a another circumstance that we need to discuss with you, and this is going to happen. So to turn it off and say we're going to wait to implement this one 3 days later is ridiculous, because you don't know what my situation is. And so making those, but one thing you have done at this point is made me unhappy. You've made me very, very unhappy.
And then on top of that, not just the fact that they didn't inform me ahead of time, but the plan they put together wasn't congruent with my plan at all, because they plan on cutting off my service for 4 days. 4 days.
Yeah. So that's crazy. No idea. You podcast, we podcast, we do workshops, we operate from our computer today, and we're not in person. Yeah, so yeah, very, very poor planning on that company's side.
So when person number three got on the phone and started asking me those stupid questions again, that person number one and two already asked me, and it should be on the system in front of them, you know. So
Hmm.
I said, listen to me. I'm sure this should be a part of your training program where you guys realize when you do things like this to a customer, it's going to irritate that customer. And your job is to come in and make sure that customer is no longer irritated. So when you come in and ask me all of this thing, you're just irritating me even more, and you making this thing escalate out of control.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, wait, what's going on out there? You turn off this service and then now you're blaming me for what's going on. Oh man, I was
Yeah.
livid, Carlos. I was livid. So the training part is very important. When we have tariffs or situation like this that irritates a customer, because think of it, man. When tariff is imposed and a customer is used to paying a certain amount for a product or service, and now it's
Hmm.
double or in some cases 2.5 times or 3 times, no, that person's going to be irritated. So you got to come up with a training program to help to kind of stabilize this customer that's really irritated, and see if you can throw in some things for them, make them feel better about the bad experience and kind of take them down from that boiling point. Well, that didn't happen to me, so I was just bothered. And then on top of that, the city was calling me, and city of LA calling me and asking me, "Hey, where's my report?" Oh Lord.
Right, exactly. Because you've made commitments based upon your equipment working, and
Yeah,
so you can't have that. I mean, that's like a hospital. My God, if you shut
yes,
off a hospital's internet and everything is running or generators running off of that, and everything is
yes,
Wi-Fi connected, then that's an issue. So yeah, so as you said, Gilbert, training is vitally
that
important, and you should
very
not leave that up to chance. That should be
right.
something that every business should make sure their employees are trained, and also the owners. The owners
Yes,
need to go in for
yes,
training
they need
and
to
how
get
to
in.
deal, because you got even different stressors, because
Oh yeah,
you're worried about how you're
mhm,
gonna maintain your income streams,
yes,
and you're gonna get hit with all kinds of dramas, and so being
hmm,
able to control that. I had some situations that, the telephone company this week, and calling them, and it's a little stressful, but when I
yeah,
got to my clients couldn't know that I was upset by anything, so
right,
I had to
right.
put on a good face, and listen to their stuff, and be able to deal with my stuff after I finish my scheduled appointment. So that's very important. So yeah, so we
Yeah,
won't belabor that any longer. Just
yeah.
know that everybody needs to be trained from the top to the bottom.
Exactly. So I just wanted to throw that little example in there to showcase how it can severely impact the business and your customers. You can lose business. You can never regain from some of these things.
Right.
So the
Well,
next
and
item,
before one quick one before we do that, Gilbert.
yeah,
And if we need an example of poor
yes,
customer service,
yes.
is look at the White House right now. Look at the
Ooh,
administration. Every time they speak to you is with
yeah,
hostility. Everything
hostility.
that they're doing to you is as if you, the US citizen or the American person living in this country, is your fault, right?
and and a lot of times they're speaking from a position where they don't know stuff, they haven't researched it, they have no current information, and they just throwing out information. Yeah, we've got this under control when they don't.
They
So
don't, right, and they're speaking. They're It's condescending. They're
mhm,
speaking to you as if you're not the educated one,
yeah.
um, and they're telling you, like the other day when he said, okay, so if a child doesn't get 30 dolls, they're gonna have to be satisfied with two. Well, excuse me, sir. Um, first of all, I'm not buying $30 for my child, but I
Mm-hmm.
would like to be able to provide my child what I want to provide them with at Christmas.
Right.
So don't become condescending with me,
Right.
especially somebody that was elected to be in a position. But that's what I'm saying. Everything that you see today,
Mm-hmm.
every time you read a comment that is just so blatantly in poor taste or
Mm-hmm.
completely hostile against us, the people that live in this country, it just
Yes.
it's like chalk. It's like fingernails on a chalkboard. That's all I'm gonna say. So
Mm-hmm.
just know that's how it looks, guys.
Exactly, exactly. And I touched earlier about inventory and management, but I just want to bring it home and say, you want to monitor your stock levels, monitor your inventory, make sure you have your key components, like for example, making sure that the product that you have, and this is why in my system called Small Biz Pro, I'm gonna do a day's inventory system so people can see how much inventory they have on a daily basis. You see what I mean? So
Hmm.
if you're gonna make a commitment to a client, let's say the client wants to hire you to do catering, you're a restaurant, so they're gonna hire you to do catering, and you do your day's inventory,
Hmm.
then if you have enough product to service their needs. If you
Hmm.
have enough product to handle the situation. So that's another thing that is really key. And through the inventory, monitoring, managing, making sure things are done right, that's going to be key. So,
Exactly. And
yeah,
even with QuickBooks does that as well. You
yeah,
maintain, in fact, I did a lot of training on that this week
yeah,
on maintaining your, even if you're not a retailer, if you are a baker or someone of that nature or a caterer, having your supplies
yeah,
logged in so that every time you pull you pull from that supply, then you know when you need to go and buy. Because the other thing that you, with your inventory, especially in the consumable world, the food world, is because of the tariffs, they're going to be increased costs. And so you don't want to have to run to a retail store because you ran out of your product when you could have gone to your wholesaler to get your product. So if you're gonna if you know you got a job with making little tea cakes
yeah,
in the next 10, 15, or the next month, you want to make sure you have enough product on hand that you've paid for at your wholesaler price and not at your retail price.
right, right, right. Oh yeah, those are all things, man, that small businesses and consumer alike need to put some focus and emphasis on. So we talked about inventory management part of it. Do you want to touch a little bit, co-host, on the local sourcing
Right.
aspect?
So yes, of course. So here's the thing. There are local sources here in your city or your state or wherever you happen to be. And depending on, um, you know, even if they're retailers, they
Yeah,
possibly, if they have large volumes and
yeah,
they need to move product, you may be able to strike up a deal with them to
yeah,
buy wholesale or just a percentage above wholesale, so
yeah.
that they can move that product as well, so that they don't get
Hmm.
stuck with that. So
Hmm.
you want to look around, and when before we end this the show today, I do have some resources for you. But you want to
Yes,
look around and see how you can reduce your reliance on global supplies. You also want to look at whether or not you can make some adjustments with how you deliver your product right now.
hmm,
Maybe since you've developed it, it may be um, some new resources out there for you. So you want to constantly be looking for those new sources, and that you may be able to replace your existing sources that may not be available to you.
Right, definitely. So with that in mind, we want to start looking at, okay, what type of suppliers we have, how many suppliers, what do they do? Because if you have a collection of suppliers, they should be doing different functions within the organization. They all cannot do outreach. They all cannot do maintaining the place, the facility. So all of those things are things you want to look at, and you want to diversify your suppliers. So if you have suppliers in Canada, China, wherever, then you want to make sure that those suppliers are being talked to on a regular basis. You want to keep that communication level going, so they can even give you heads up to let you know what's coming down on the pipe. They can say, well, we got a boatload of perishable and all of that stuff. So then you start realizing that, hey, this is good for me. It's going to help me to move along and might help me to eliminate some of those tariffs. So finally, on that part of it, the supplier part, you want to make sure that these suppliers are willing to give you uh, they're willing to give you how can I say this, like discounts, things like discounts, so you can end up buying a lot more products, so you can avoid some of this tariff that's coming. It will alleviate, it will pad it for you, so the blow isn't that hard when you got to buy 100 items for a certain price as opposed to 150 items for the same price or a little less. So those are things I want you to look at. And also, when we talk about supplier diversification, there's also supposed to be flexibility within the supply chains. So, co-host, you want to touch that a little bit?
Right. So you want to make sure that your supply chains that la, 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 that you have multiple sources to go to.
Yeah,
You may have been using one because that's who you started with and you developed a relationship with them. And some people have an aversion to change.
right.
And so they're like, okay, I've been with this person forever. And yeah, I
Yeah,
know there's probably some better people out there, but I'm not going. This is my person and I'm going. So that's fine and dandy.
yeah,
One is, as you said, Gilbert, have a conversation with
yeah,
them first to
yeah.
find out exactly what can be done,
Mm-hmm.
and if they have any wiggle room and what
Right,
they're facing. And then if they just can't, and it's not a reflection on them, it's really
mm-hmm.
on you have to look at your bottom line, your profit margin. How much are you willing to give up on your
Yeah,
project, your profit margin? And so you want to have that conversation with them. So that
right.
is very, very important
Mm-hmm.
that we have those in-depth conversations, and this is the time we should be calling our suppliers, but then we should have backup because if something happens, if there's some sort of delay, they're not going to get their shipment in, then
Right,
that's going to be a snowball effect for everyone, for everyone involved. So you just want to, it's not that you don't like them anymore, you just trying to make sure that you have what you need in order to be able to facilitate your business and to be able to drive revenue and hopefully keep as much as your profit in place as you can.
right.
So that's very important. And right now it's not on any of these lists. If you're not maintaining your accounting right now, boy, I tell you, you're in you're gonna have a big problem.
You're gonna be in big problems, and this ties right into shipping delays. So if you don't have your ducks in a row, all the paperwork together, so when they arrive, you can just easily go through, the process, then that could end up hurting you. So you, as a business owner, you want to look at, okay, what type of shipping delays may occur, and where could it have occurred, and what would I do then? So, based on those questions, you want to structure your business in such a way that you can hit anything and survive. So, so those are one of the things in terms of shipping delays. Right now we're seeing delays right now, and I believe the final shipment before the tariffs was added is going to be arriving here at the port of Los Angeles, downtown Long Beach. So when it arrives, there might be some logistic stuff going on that could prevent you from getting everything you need, and you may end up you order 10 items, you end up getting one. So
That, Gilbert, true that, man. Yeah.
Even though I see that, I ordered some stuff. I told you I was in the middle of ordering from Amazon the other day, and they cut off my internet service because of poor planning. So I ordered about 10 items. They said, "Oh, you'll get this by tomorrow, man." I only got three of those items. Three of those items I got. And then they said, "Oh, you'll get the other one in 2 days." 2 days came and went. Still didn't get it. So these are part of those shipping delays that occur. They're waiting on stuff. And plus, on top of that, too, what causes shipping delays is when you have, let's say you have 5 shippers that decide to order stuff. And there's all 5 of those supposed to be coming in on the same shipment. But something went wrong with one of the shippers, then that just throws off the schedule for the other 4 that's there. So those are things you want to look at. I see we had staffing. We touched on that before, co-host. How about consumer behavior and then e-commerce?
Okay, so we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier as well. That the consumer behavior, of course, they're just as stressed as you are,
Yeah,
and they also have needs. And so, making sure that you understand that, and if we can diffuse problems before they get there,
yeah.
before it escalates to a place where everybody's shouting at each other and then hanging up and things like this. And then I'm going to say this, and this is usually the bigger consumers, you know, and then it comes back to the script.
Hmm.
So if you've taught your employees the script and they
Yeah,
don't know how to deviate from the script,
right.
meaning that, everybody's a one size fit all, we're
Yeah.
not a one size fit all. And
Hmm.
so by continuously to repeat the script is only
Right.
going to make your customer that much angrier. If you
Mm.
don't know, if your employee does not know, then they need to say that. I am so sorry. I just don't know how I can help you. Let me transfer you to someone that has more experience than myself
Right. Right.
and or may have more um, current information to help you. But
Right.
to keep repeating the script and
Yeah.
saying the same thing over and over and over again is
Yeah.
not going to diffuse the situation. What is going to do is anger that customer because he's feeling that you're patronizing him and he
Yeah.
feels that you're discounting his
Hmm.
feelings at this moment.
Just
And
like I
so,
felt on Tuesday.
just like you felt on Tuesday. So be careful with that. You too, as the business owner, be careful with that. Everybody's on trigger right now because
Yeah.
there's a lot going on and we are overwhelmed with the chaos that is happening. And no matter how we try to hide from it, you cannot hide from it because it hits you everywhere you turn. And there are things that are really happening drastically to a lot of people. So that's that.
Right.
And then leveraging your technology. So a lot
Yeah.
of people are not very tech savvy, and
Savvy.
they
Right.
savvy, right? And they brag about it.
Yeah.
This is not the time to be bragging that you're not very tech savvy or you anti tech. You need to get tech savvy. That's all I'm gonna tell you. And there are some amazing e-commerce platforms that are out there that can help you reach a larger audience and handle or online orders more efficiently and have things in place that will make it easier for you to um, um, make it easier for you to be in touch with your clients. So just think about that. Do your research during this
Mhm.
time. What is the best platforms, e-commerce platforms, and what is the logistics to get into them? And here's another thing. Sometimes we just don't have enough time to do the learning curve.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to suggest to everyone is try Fiverr.
Hmm.
Fiverr is a wonderful platform. It's not very expensive, and they know what they're doing. You do your due diligence. You read through the reviews. You actually can have conversation with the person that's doing the work, or you want a commission to do the work. And they can deliver you some amazing things. We're getting ready to implement a newsletter to complement and augment the live show so that we can then give you resources after. And so I just didn't have time for the learning curve. And
Right.
I think I'm pretty tech savvy, but
Right.
I just didn't have time for it. So I hired someone, and I was very clear on what I wanted, and they've delivered it. And so now cost me, it cost me some money, not a lot. It'd been much more if I had been sitting there trying to figure it out. And all of the components that they provided for me, it was well worth the investment. And so I'm just going to say to you guys, make sure that you look at resources. There's Fiverr, there's Upworks, and they can help you.
Right.
Social media, you can promote your sales, you can engage. Uh, there's so many of them. Find out
Hmm.
where your customer hangs out. If they're
Hmm.
young, if they're in the under 45, then more than likely those individuals are hanging out on Instagram, and they're hanging out on TikTok. And those sites will obviously actually help you monetize. They got some additional monetizing offers for you. So make sure you know who your target market is and where to find them. If they're 45 and 46 and older, those individuals are on Facebook and LinkedIn if they're in the business world. So know where your customers are and then promote. You don't have to necessarily use you don't have to spend money for ads there. Just make sure you have um, some attractive media. And you can go over to Canva, very, very easy to use. And if you have any issues and you want to know how to use all of these things, you can reach out to me and I can help you do that. We will put our information in the chat, and then it also will be in our on the in our platform. So we just want you to know that we have resources for you. You can also find all of your data analytics in these places. Know who is reaching and who you are reaching. That's why newsletters are wonderful, and they've become very popular in this day and age because every time someone comes to your newsletter, you can have a pop up that says subscribe, and that way you can look at a list and it will tell you who's reaching out and who's tapped in, how long they've been there, and if they have any questions. So become tech savvy. There are a lot of resources out there for you to do that. YouTube, man, you can learn anything you want to know just on watching a few little YouTube step by step. There are hundreds of them out there. So if you implement these resources into your world, they will help make you better prepared. And the other thing is, besides YouTube, Canva, Fiverr, Upworks, is Chat GPT. Learn how to use it properly. Learn how to use the right prompts. They'll give you anything that you need to know on how to survive during this time frame. Okay, so
And
that
and go ahead. Go ahead.
no,
Come on.
I'm done.
I was gonna say, and in addition to leveraging technology, I know that PayPal has a system right now where they allow you to order products, and then when you order it, they will break up the payment in like four parts. So you don't have to pay everything up front. You can just pay one portion this month, another portion the other month. So you can take 4 months or so to pay it off. But they allow that. They allow that. So they give you that scenario to help you out. The next scenario is, you can receive discounts from some of the leveraging companies. They'll charge you in some, like a small amount, but then on the other end, they let you pay what you need to pay so you can receive the same level of protection that you can. One of the things that they do is when people, like, for example, again, and I keep using myself as an example because a lot of what I encounter is real, so real. So I was ordering some products from this company, never used them before, first time using them, and I put two items in the cart, the shopping cart, two items. But I said, you know what? Let me do a little research on this product first before I decide to commit myself to purchasing it. So then I put them in a cart. I went to another website to start doing some search on this product to see, hey, is it safe? Is it good? Is this company good? Why do I need to be giving them my money? So then next thing I know, I hear ding on my phone. I'm going, wait a second, what's that? Check my laptop. They went ahead and they rung up the product. They did it automatically, rung up the product and charged me. Charged me for it.
Oh, wow.
Do you see what I'm saying? I said, wait. I'm not going to do this. So I called them up. I said, what are you doing? And then I was paying for it through PayPal. So I called PayPal and said, hey, fraudulent activity on the card, shut down the account, whatever. So anyway, PayPal is, sometimes they're very slow to respond. So they went ahead, sent me an email and said to reach out to the vendor because maybe it could be something that I work out with them. But long story short, because they did what they did, which was illegal, and you guys need to know that it was illegal to, when someone puts a product in the cart, the shopping cart, to check out at some point. You can't just go ahead willy-nilly and decide to take their money or the order that's in hold and that they didn't, go ahead and make the order or place the order. So that's something I want to put out there too. It will prevent you guys from going through the hassle of trying to have things charged back, because that can be crazy. That can be a crazy situation sometimes. So that's what I wanted to add on the data analytic and leveraging technology. Do we want to stop here, co-host?
Yeah, and so the next week we'll come back. There's some other tips. I can run through them really, really quick, and then we can go in more detail for some things that you guys need to know. So we'll start with maybe like the first top three. Look into wholesalers for drop shipping. See if whatever you're doing, there are a number of shipper wholesalers that are out there that have large inventory, and so maybe your products can now be relegated over there. Search online for the best wholesale suppliers. Do your research to find out exactly where tariffs are being affected, and then look and see if you can find some manufacturers in that area. And also look locally across to the United States. There may be some other retailers. Now, the one thing I do know is one of the largest, there's two largest retailers in locally in the United States is the state of California, and as well as I believe Chicago in Illinois. Those are the two right now that have the largest manufacturers. Don't know, you have to do your research to see if it affects you. I mean, if it's your product is there, and then of course you have to do some phone calling, go check their websites. because there are some suppliers and manufacturers that are here in the state of California. And then if you can't find them, then ask the manufacturers directly where you may be able to locate what you're looking for. Also, reach out to your network and find out. You can go to online forums like Reddit, and there's some others out there. Ask on LinkedIn. Ask on Facebook, ask on TikTok, man. You put it in the site, the folks will direct you to whatever you need. And then in some cases, you can go to more your high tech chambers of commerce, and they should be able to help you. And you can use your social media. And the last one are trade shows. Check and see in your city where there are trade shows. They're usually held at your local what do you call it?
Conference centers.
Conference centers. Oh gosh, I just had a brain freeze. Conference centers and
They have one. They have one downtown LA.
yeah.
What do you call that big old green building?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I just had a brain freeze, man.
That big old green building, man. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, both of us had the same brain freeze. That is sad.
They have this big old building, you know, conference something, you know.
Yeah, it's a conference center. It's a conference center, convention center. So you can go down if you're in Los Angeles, any city, any major metropolitan city. They have a convention center, and pretty much every state has a convention center. Go to their calendar. Boy, that was a brain freeze. And it went across the wires, man. Look at their calendars. Go on their calendars. Their calendars are usually set up for one whole year in advance. So that is a great way to meet new suppliers, new partners, gather information. And most of those trade shows are not very expensive. Some of them are free. Some of them are minimum. And some of them, depending on the industry you're in, the cost is well worth it because of what you get to, who you get to meet and the connections you get to meet. And so that's one of the things that we can do. So we're going to put a pin in it there. And then I have some more when we come back next week. If you guys have any questions, let us know. You can reach us out. You can go to our website, The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and you can contact us there. You can go to any of the social media platforms and you can ask questions, whether you see this show is being streamed live, and ask those questions, or just go to our YouTube channel and put a comment in. We are going to ask that you do go over to our YouTube channel, and we're going to ask you to subscribe to our channel. And if you feel that this show was valuable, this information that we disseminated to you was valuable, we're going to ask you if you would mind going over to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this information. If this information was valuable to you and helpful to you. Then take a picture of the QR code and you can subscribe, and leave some comments. And we are here for you during this time. We understand how important information is, and we're going to do our very best to bring it to you in a way that is best received by you, so you can put these plans in actions. Because to be successful in business, to stay in business, you have to get resources from any and everywhere. Do not be too proud to ask for help. That is why we're out here. So Gilbert and I both are business coaches and consultants, and we've been doing this for over close to 30 years each. We come with our own specific skill sets. And the one thing I can say for both of us, we are very concerned and very committed to the small business population.
And also, guys, within the framework of this empty shelf scenario, we don't want to see empty shelves occurring again. We saw it in 2020 in the pandemic when people couldn't get stuff, couldn't get supplies, couldn't get water, couldn't get toilet paper, couldn't get anything at all. Couldn't even get hand sanitizer to clean your hands. So what we want to make sure is that this empty shelf scenario doesn't reoccur. You know, we got July 4th coming up. We got Thanksgiving. We got the Halloween. We got Christmas coming up. Hopefully we can have a lot of this stuff solved before that time. So to help you guys navigate through the process so you tend to avoid some of these challenges, just make sure the tips we give you, you try to implement those, you prevent stuff from happening, and then you have your plan A, plan B, C, and D, and E, and F, so that you can ward this off. So with that being said, co-host, you did a fabulous job today, as usual. And thank you for putting together this topic. I mean, I know this topic is needed everywhere. Everybody, all small businesses, consumers, everyone, they need to know about these things because we don't want to be caught not having products anymore or supplies. We don't want to be caught with that. So
And we also just want to make sure we have a strategy on things happen all the time in business, and we just need to have. We want to make sure everyone has a strategy and some information that they can work with in order to get through this very challenging time. So we'll be back next week
yes.
with some more information. We will stay current until we no longer feel that you need to have information brought to you on a weekly basis when you can just go and do business and run business and be happy and make money, because that's what we want everybody to do. But we don't want you to lose your business in this time when there are some options for you. So I don't know how much what is going to look like in the long term, but right now we
Yeah.
just have to take one day at a time, and we have to be able to make sure that you have all the tools and resources that you need to stay alive during this time. So that's what we're doing, and we want to thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. All right.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm a.
All righty. Great show, co-host. Excellent show. Good topic. Good information. And I